Welcome to the Fans of the Home Team podcast.
I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Miranda. This is a podcast that talks about the fun, the drama, and the effects that sports, teams, and athletes bring to the world, whether good or bad.
This is a podcast for people who care about sports in a deeper way than who won or lost. It's for the people who love the feel-good stories behind the teams and athletes and realize that sports are more than a game.
Today's episode is all about the Super Bowl. It's one of the biggest sporting events of the year, so we decided we would talk about it this week for obvious reasons. As we all know, the Rams won by a score of 23-20, and we'll talk a little bit about the game itself, but as we promised, this podcast isn't about stats or wins and losses, so most of the discussion will center around general thoughts, commercials, the halftime show, etc.
Exactly. And we want to talk about the entire experience of the game and also the fandom surrounding it. So, Miranda, who were you rooting for to win?
So I honestly was rooting for, I guess I had my reasons for rooting for both teams. There wasn't one that I specifically was rooting for over the other until the end, towards the end of the fourth quarter, that I immediately was go Bengals because of everything that happened, which is we'll get into a little bit later. But I was rooting for the Rams because I love Matthew Stafford. I mean, he came up with Eli Manning and Tom Brady and Philip Rivers, that whole kind of squad of quarterbacks. So I was just always used to seeing him and felt for him with the Detroit Lions and just literally never winning. So I was rooting for him and his wife, just everything their family has gone through in the past few years. And then I some of the pre-promotion stories and stuff where they showed their 4 daughters, and I was oh, this is the cutest thing ever. There are a few FSU players that were on the Rams too, even though when they did the intros they didn't say FSU, which I thought was interesting, which I learned that they can say whatever school that they want, and they pretty much change it up every year. And they usually record those intros with the offense and defense the day before the game, which I never knew that. So there was those reasons. There also was the Walter Payton Man of the Year too, who is on the Rams, Andrew Whitworth, who has been in the league for literally forever. They talked about him when he won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, and I think he started in 2006. So he's over 40 years old, still crushing it. So I was oh, that's another reason to root for them. Obviously, Aaron Donald too, who's just one of the best players in the entire league. And then the Bengals, I love me an underdog story. So I'm naturally always going to be drawn to the underdogs. I mean, I'm a freaking New York Giants fan, so it's not surprising. So I was excited for the Bengals and just the city of Cincinnati, the news coming out that they were shutting down the schools the next day. I mean, who doesn't love Joe Burrow? And I think just the excitement and hype around them and just the opportunity. So I went into the game really rooting for both teams, I guess, not really upset with either outcome. But in the end, I was upset with the outcome, which again, we will talk about later. What about you?
So I was definitely rooting for the Bengals, and I've rooted for the Bengals a lot this season. I text you all the time. I hate the Cowboys. I can't do this anymore. I've been doing it for 3 years. So I'm a bandwagon Bengals fan, but I think I was destined for this back when I was little. So about 2002, Carson Palmer played for USC. He ended up getting drafted by the Bengals. And I asked my parents for my birthday, because my birthday is really close to the draft. I asked them for a Carson Palmer Bengals jersey. I grew up in Ohio. It was probably very popular. They couldn't find one for me. And so somehow I became a Cowboys fan, and they've been garbage. And I've never seen a situation in professional sports where you just take a very talented team and somehow run them into the ground every single year. So I think after the Titans Bengals game, I texted my dad and I was I'm so mad at you that you couldn't find this Carson Palmer jersey. And he's like, we did find it. It wasn't the color you wanted. And so I felt like such an idiot because it was probably a white jersey. I wanted a black jersey. Not that it would have mattered at all. But I've seen the Bengals win the same amount of playoff games in 1 year as I've seen the Cowboys win my entire fandom. So I'm just over it. I say I'm over it, but I definitely didn't root for the Bengals last night as hard as I would have rooted for the Cowboys. So I'm probably not actually over it. So
isn't that crazy though that your like fandom literally was decided because your parents couldn't find the right jersey color? Like if your parents would have just found the right jersey, then you would have been a Bengals fan. I mean, which until now, like,
I mean, yeah, at this point it's the same though, but now it's not.
I was gonna say, I think like, and that's another reason why obviously, like, I was upset that Joe Burrow didn't win, but he'll be back. Like that, they'll be back. Like they have a franchise quarterback. Like they're not going anywhere. Whereas like the Cowboys, no.
With that amount of talent on with a competent owner and coach, that team could win the Super Bowl though. That's the problem.
Oh yeah. That's true.
But yeah, I definitely remember texting you last night. I was like, I would die for Joe Burrow. And
yeah.
I would still die for Joe Burrow.
Which wouldn't we all, honestly? But I'm also just glad that you're not like you always, and we all always say like, oh, I'm over my team, but I'm glad you're not actually going to stop being a Cowboys team or fan. So you can still suffer with me and be an NFC East fan. And we all know how terrible that's been for the last many years. So
the literal worst. I am happy for Sean McVay because he graduated from Miami of Ohio. I did too. He's going to be put in our cradle of coaches and given a statue for it outside the stadium for winning a Super Bowl.
Wait, is that a thing?
Yeah, so if you graduated, if you like played on the team or coached Miami and you go on, you win a national championship or win a Super Bowl, they put your statue up in front of Yager Stadium. That's cool. So like Bo Schembechler's up there, Woody Hayes, Eric Parsegian, John Harbaugh, like all these incredible coaches. So it'd be cool to see his statue go up probably before next season. So that's really cool.
That's why I really enjoy like football as in general, because like the college and NFL connection, and like the reason why there were players on the Rams I was rooting for is because they went to FSU, like Cam Akers, and I know everyone's favorite Jalen Ramsey as well. When your team isn't in it, having like factors like that, like alumni from the college you went to or the college you root for or whatever, definitely helps like decide who you're rooting for. But like I said, we'll talk about more of the actual game here in a little bit.
Yeah, we went to, you remember our marketing class at USF? Mitch Wilcox was in that, and he's a tight end for the Bengals.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yes,
yeah.
I do remember that class. I think it was social media.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Shout out Mitch.
Yeah. I didn't know that he went on to the NFL and that he was on the Bengals. Well, that's cool. I mean, it's a cool experience regardless, just to go to the Super Bowl. Obviously, you want to win. And this morning, I saw a video of like Joe Burrow exiting the locker room because he was the last one. And it just seemed like so depressing. Like, this is obviously, there's many reasons why I'm not a professional athlete, but like, I would be heartbroken. Like, you just have to bounce back the next season and be like, oh, forget about that. It's just like such an interesting concept, like that an average person like myself can't wrap her head around.
I think you need a good therapist to deal with that.
Probably.
To deal with
don't we all need a good therapist?
They can afford it though.
Yeah, true.
They have, I mean, you go through the loss and you probably go on social media and you're probably getting trolled by a bunch of people who never played the sport at all.
Yep.
So I can imagine that kind of sucks. Please do not troll fans of the home team. We'll cry. No. We don't have good therapists.
No, we don't. We don't have the money for it.
Let's move into the commercial aspects, commercials that rocked, commercials that flopped, because this is obviously a really big part of the Super Bowl and what a lot of people do watch for. I thought this year was very boring. I don't think Super Bowl commercials have been good for a long time, but what did you think?
Completely agree. And this is why I think we were so excited to record this episode, because the Super Bowl, regardless of like who's in it, it's just like such a fun day. Like the experiences around it, commercials, halftime show, the food, being with friends and family or whatever. I think that like that's the fun of the Super Bowl too. Obviously, when your team's in it, it makes it that much better. But the commercials have always been a huge part. And this year, no, a big fat no. And like you said, I think that the commercials haven't been good in so long. Like I was talking about this with Derek last night, and I don't remember like the last time where it was like a strong lineup throughout the entire Super Bowl show. Like maybe there was like one or two sprinkled in that were really good. I think it's crazy too, because you think from like a marketing perspective and advertising, if I were one of these brands, I would want to make an amazing Super Bowl commercial, even more so now, because more than likely it's the only time a lot of people are even watching commercials anymore because of all the streaming services. Like I don't watch commercials on a regular basis because either I fast forward if I watch anything on cable because it's recorded, or it's on a streaming like station like Netflix, and there aren't any commercials. So you would think that nowadays the commercials would be even better, but they're not.
I agree. It was really hard for me to like sit there and watch the commercials and take notes because we're predispositioned to ignore commercials entirely. So I was like, oh, I have to listen to these terrible commercials, like to write stuff down. But the days of Puppy Baby Monkey, which is one of the best Super Bowl commercials of all time.
Oh my God.
Doritos, GoDaddy, and Cheeto, like those are gone. Like we don't do stuff like that anymore, and it's boring.
Even like the sentimental ones, because those are just like always some of my favorites because I'm just an emotional Pisces. Even like comedic ones that had an opportunity, like just didn't execute. Like it was starting out okay, and then all of a sudden it was so cheesy, and I was just like, this is dumb.
We can talk about some of the ones that we, I guess, kind of liked. This is so controversial. It was very polarizing on social media. My favorite one, I thought the one that did the best in the grand scheme of things was probably the Coinbase QR code one.
I didn't think it was that. It's not on my list, but your girl immediately scanned the code. I was like, what is this?
It reminds me of the Office episode where they're waiting for it to bounce in the corner.
That's exactly what my brother was saying. He was like, it has to hit the corner. It has to hit the corner.
It's not supposed to be funny. It's not supposed to be serious. But you know that QR code was probably scanned hundreds of thousands of times. It broke their own site, which is a giant L for them not getting ready for that. Happen. But I would love to see how many scans and how many signups they got from it, because I feel like it probably did the best in terms of marketing something to the audience.
So I watched the Super Bowl with like me, Derek, my mom and dad, and my brother. And so Derek and I immediately were like getting our phones out, like scan the code. And my mom and dad were like, what if it's a virus? I was like, oh my God.
Can you imagine someone hacks hundreds of thousands of phones with the Super Bowl commercial?
I mean, it could honestly happen. Like, I get what they're saying. Yeah, my dad said, like, I saw on the news the other day, you have to be careful, like scanning those QR codes now, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, I don't think a restaurant with their menu is going to give you a virus, but okay.
It seems like bad PR.
Yeah, like I'm never going back to that restaurant again. I was cracking up because like we're immediately pulling out our phones and my parents are like, you really shouldn't scan that. What if it's a virus to your phone? I was like, oh my God, which I'm sure that I'm not the only one who experienced that. And there were people who thought the same thing. But like you said, there were probably more people who scanned that code. The amount of money you pay for a Super Bowl commercial is outrageous. So they probably got a lot of like the best payback for the amount that they paid for that commercial because of all the people that were directed to their site and scanned that QR code. And then obviously when it hit the corner, it was so satisfying.
What about you? What was one of your favorites?
I have two favorites. The first one, which like no surprise, was the NFL commercial before the halftime show. Like the one where all the players were like came out of the TV. I love that one. Like
that was one of my no.
Oh my
god. It was one of my least favorite.
I thought that was so cute and funny. And like I like anything that like brings in like the mix of like new and old players, and just I don't know. I thought it was a good idea, and it was actually entertaining. Like that's what I'm looking for in a commercial. Like you said, it wasn't like a struggle. I wasn't like going to my phone to like get distracted or whatever. Like I actually watched the whole commercial. So that was one of my favorites. Personally, I liked that one.
I thought it was so creepy. Like,
oh my God.
I couldn't get behind it, but that's a controversial take as well.
And then my other favorite was Disney Plus, because again, they have so much money to spend on commercials with all the goats, and it was like, that's a goat show, that's a goat, and they were dressed up as like Disney movies, Marvel, Star Wars, blah blah blah. Like I thought that was pretty funny.
I feel like I missed that one. So
wow. So those are like my two favorites, and then I have like a few that were like okay.
What were your okay ones?
Again, like I said, I'm just like an emotional person, but it was like one of the first actual commercials outside of the movie trailers, which I also called that there was going to be a new Doctor Strange movie trailer. Like that was going to be the first movie trailer. So I was pretty proud of that. But the Paralympics commercial with the two brothers, like I was tearing up. Like that was adorable. And again, just such like an inspirational story. And I think very on brand with fans of the home team, because it was about like them. I guess it was more so about the athlete, but still like just a story that you probably would have never really known or heard of if it didn't get I never knew of that story until it was on my TV screen.
That was my favorite sentimental one by far.
Yeah.
It was the best one.
Yeah. And just very well done and so sweet. From a nostalgia standpoint, the Rocket Homes one with the Barbies, like it started off good, and then I was like, okay, this is too long. And also I'm not a big fan of Anna Kendrick, so I was like, I wish she wasn't in it.
No. What is going on today?
I know we're on two different pages.
This was a least favorite of mine.
I mean, I can understand, but also I was like, oh, Barbie. I don't know.
Okay, first of all, I love Anna Kendrick. She's one of my favorite actresses.
She's horrible.
You're horrible. I hated Barbies. Like I didn't have Barbies growing up. Obviously, my sister did. They smelled so weird. I just couldn't touch them.
It really did leave like a smell on your hands. So I get it.
Stink, dude. I was so hyped when my sister gave hers away. They're awful. But I thought this commercial was misleading. I thought it was a big fat giant lie, to be honest with you. The whole premise was that this housing market is crazy, which is true, but that these people got chosen because they are pre-approved by Rocket Mortgage. And I was like, you can't even, no realtor even lets you put a bid down on a house without being pre-approved by something. So I was just not about it.
I still live in an apartment, haven't even started looking at houses because I just know I'm going to be depressed. So I haven't been in the thick of it like you have. I guess from like a successful advertising standpoint, it flopped because I really didn't understand what was going on. I was just paying attention to the Barbies.
Ew.
And the first thing my brother said was like, wait, Barbies have kneecaps now? I know you'll be on board with this one because it is our brand, like sponsor this podcast, but Mick Ultra, the two commercials they did with the bowling alley, fantastic. Like I thought it was like perfect, like very much on brand with who they are. I loved the like aesthetic of like the 70s bowling, bringing in all the athletes from different sports. And then obviously at the end of the first commercial, when Serena Williams came in because she's the GOAT, I was like, yes, like obviously. And even the one with Brooks Koepka with the Mick Ultra Seltzer, like that was good too. I feel like they were pretty like on brand and just aesthetically pleasing. And obviously Mick Ultra has a special place in my heart. So
Mick Ultra can do no wrong.
Never.
It's the greatest domestic beer there is. And please sponsor us. That's all we want.
For most of you who probably don't know, but like, and when we were in grad school, pretty much all like Kelsey and I would drink was Mick Ultra all the time. And I still drink it regularly. Like if there's like, that is the beer that I will go to, which I know most people are like, oh, that's basically water, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like I like it.
Domestic beer is better than craft beer. I'm sorry. Like it's
Kelsey.
I don't know. Like I do like going to craft breweries and stuff like that, but like it's cheaper to me and it's cheaper, just easier. And Mick Ultra is just that good. Like I'll put it up against a lot of craft beers.
Yeah. See, I love a good craft beer. Like I'm also just like a light lager fan. So that's why I like Mick Ultra. And the Mick Ultra seltzers, like those are probably some of my favorite seltzers because they're nice and light. Like they don't make me feel like garbage and they don't like bubble up in your stomach like White Claws and all that other shit does. Like I just feel so bloated when I drink those. But yeah, so I love those commercials. And again, like the aesthetic of it, I thought those were pretty good. Probably the like very well done.
My next one is a little bit more of like a good marketing play because just none of these were that funny. But I really liked the green light commercial with Ty Burrell, who's the dad off Modern Family, because it was basically just him just buying all this stuff, being, I'll take it. And
yeah, at
the end, he's like, I'm broke. What? And then this dad turns to his kids and is like, this is why we use green light. And it's this app that parents can use to teach their kids about earning money, saving, investing, which is just a good concept because I literally grew up not knowing anything and most kids don't. So I saw it was a good ad to try and help teach the youth to not be poor like we are someday.
Yeah, learn from our mistakes. No, I agree. I think that was a good, like you said, I didn't even know that was a thing. And I was like, oh, that's a cool product and super smart because I am still trying to learn about like being financially secure and budgeting and the stock market and investing and blah, 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 blah. So, and it's like I don't think it's a hard concept to understand eventually, but as an adult, it's hard to like wrap your head around just like with most things. So the opportunity to learn that as a young kid is amazing. So
maybe our parents should sign us up for Greenlight.
I know
now that we're 27. We already talked about two of the commercials I hated because you love them apparently, but what were some of the ones you did not like?
Honestly, the only commercial, like I really didn't like most of them. Like if I didn't just mention them, I didn't like them. And I probably forgot about them already. But the one I absolutely hated because it was so disgusting was the Uber Eats one, where they're like eating things you're not supposed to eat. That was gross, Kelsey. I was gagging. Like when I forgot who it was, but he's like putting the dish soap into his mouth. Like obviously I understand like they're not putting dish soap in their mouth. But oh my goodness. And then Gwyneth Paltrow was like biting into the candle. I was like, no, I don't like just eating like the fluff and the napkin. Like, oh my God, no. And also like from a marketing standpoint too, I was like, I feel like this is like a whole Tide Pod situation about to happen again. Like, I did not think that was smart. I wasn't even paying that close to like, cause I was like, gagging that I don't know if they put a disclaimer or what have you, but I just felt like there's so many like kids and young impressionable people watching. Like, yes, the concept is like it's not food but you can also get it delivered. But like, I don't know, you're putting dish soap into your mouth. Like, I feel like that's how the whole Tide Pod craze happened, and now look where we are. Like, I don't know, I feel like that was just stupid and disgusting.
So I am a big Gwyneth Paltrow hater, so anything she's in I'm not about, except Iron Man. They pulled through even with their dragging them down. But I just to see the woman eating her candle, which if you don't know, I just look it up. Like, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. But ew. Like I get it. You want to compete with Instacart, but I guess your whole problem is that your name is Uber Eats.
Yeah, like Uber Eats, I'm going to when I want like an actual meal, but I'm not going to go to for my groceries. Like, I trust Instacart. I've used it for how long now?
Gwyneth Paltrow eating a candle didn't change your mind?
Not even a little bit. Did you ever watch a show on TLC, My Strange Addiction?
Oh, obviously.
Oh my God. That's literally what it reminded me of. Like, people being addicted to eating like weird ass shit. And I was like, bleh. Like, my mom even was like turning, like she wasn't even watching the commercial. And that's not what you want.
I mean, maybe they did. I don't know,
but it was an epic failure. Like, there was so many celebrities in the commercials. Did you notice that?
NBC for their commercials had like 100. Kelly Clarkson was in one. Shout out.
Yeah.
But like
Kelly Clarkson.
The go. There were celebrities left and right. It was like everyone did the same shit. Like,
yeah, exactly. I feel like I saw a post somewhere and it was like, if you weren't in a Super Bowl commercial, you need to fire your agent and get a new one. Like, it was just flooded with celebrities. Almost every commercial had one in it. And I was like, interesting. I guess I have to make more money after not working for a little bit because of the pandemic. Who knows?
It shows you how weird celebrity culture has got. Obviously, these companies realize that people absolutely idolize celebrities more so than ever. That's just what I thought from the whole thing.
I don't really idolize any of them, but like, I like to be interested in their lives. I'm more so, again, like the drama of it though, like what's going on. Just because X celebrity is in a commercial is not going to make me go buy that product. Like, that's never going to work on me.
They even had LeBron in a crypto commercial and I was like, this is some crazy stuff.
Yeah, which he was also at the game, which is another thing. Like, in LA, obviously there's going to be a ton of celebrities, but they kept showing the same like 5 celebrities. And it was like, there were better celebrities there.
I also just like, no, you're right. I also just like, don't care. Like, can you please just like, there's a game like going on.
See,
I don't
thought
care.
It was cool to see them, but like, they didn't show Justin Bieber. Like, he was there. Drake was there. Like, Cardi B, Shaq was there. Didn't show him. They kept showing like Matt Damon and Mark Wahlberg. Like, I'm like, okay, like, how many times are we going to show these guys? Obviously, it was cool when they showed Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck because they're together. LeBron, like, duh, but I don't know. And they kept and Charlize Theron. I'm like, oh, what? I don't care that she's at the game. Like, I care that Justin Bieber's there though. Like, at least change it up a little bit. I don't know. I thought it was very strange. The like 5 celebrities they kept rotating and showcasing over and over.
Maybe they paid some money to get on camera if they weren't on a commercial. I don't know.
I also hated the intro with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on the field.
So I am a big fan of The Rock just because he bought the XFL, and I'm excited about the XFL because I was a huge fan before they went down to COVID. I just thought it was very interesting that the owner of another football league was introing the Super Bowl.
True. I guess I never even put those two things together. I'm not a fan of The Rock at all. Like, I liked him and I like him as more like WWE, like his wrestling promotion, all that stuff, like where he started. But acting wise, I can't stand the guy. Like, he is in every movie. Every movie he's in is trash. And I don't need him like standing in the middle of the field. Like, the game is about to start. I'm like, if I was a player, like, I don't know, but I would be like, can you go? Like, this is the biggest game of my career. Like, like, you're not hyping me up at all. Like, I'm already hyped up and ready to go. I'm in the zone. Like, please get off the field.
I don't know why, but the only thing I can think about when I think of him sometimes is that song from Moana that he sings that was on TikTok that went viral. I'm like, if you could just sing that, I'd be probably happier with the situation.
I will say I do like Moana and he's in it, but like he's a cartoon version.
Right. That's true.
But everything else, I'm like, it's the same like action, like drama. Like, I'm over him. You know, he's the most paid actor in the country or maybe the world. I don't know.
For real?
Yes. Derek always likes to bring up that fact.
Think about all the actors. Like, just think about the greatest actors of all time. This man is not the greatest actor of all time.
Not even close. I don't even know. Like, he doesn't even crack the top 100. And even more. Like, yeah, that is shocking to me.
Let's talk about the halftime show. I'm just gonna let you start because you're more knowledgeable about this whole thing. And you listen to this music and I just don't. So good.
I was obsessed with the halftime show. Honestly, since Jay-Z's agency has taken over the talent, I think the halftime show has definitely leveled up. But I'm excited even more so now for next year because how are you going to top this? I loved every minute of it. I loved the like stage, the whole setup. I loved the fact that like the LA like street and cityscape was on the actual field, and then they had the different houses and components and different layers to like where the artist would perform. I love the fact that like Dr. Dre was pretending to be a producer because like that's what his career is known as and that's what he's best known as. And then opening up with Snoop Dogg, like, come on, like, how can you not love Snoop Dogg? He's just like so happy to be there, like just vibing, like enjoying himself. I thought that was just so smart. And then just a combo of them. And then the surprise of 50 Cent because he wasn't announced that he was going to be there and singing Go Shawty, it's your birthday. Like I was just living for it. Like that was my childhood. And also, fun fact, the reason he was upside down is because he's upside down in the music video. I love how it all weaved together. And then you bring in Mary J. Blige, who I thought was absolutely fantastic. Just her voice is stunning and just a great balance and mixed with more of like the rap and hip hop. And then Kendrick Lamar, which I'm not the biggest Kendrick Lamar fan. I just don't listen to his music, but I thought he did a great job. And then Eminem. I mean, whenever I just heard the intro, I started getting chilled. And they played the hits, like the songs that they knew people would want to hear. One of my favorite artists of all time is The Weeknd. And his Super Bowl show last year was like artistic and entertaining and very much on brand for him. But I felt like he didn't play a lot of the hits, and that's what I really wanted from him. But again, to each their own. But I feel like this selection of artists played their actual hits and like played to the fans and what they knew they wanted. And I just love like the representation and just like all the dancers and just like all integrated and representing who they are and their brand in that area of California. I didn't want it to be over. Like when it ended, I was like, is that it? Like I was upset. But I thought it was fantastic. I think it's going to be really hard to top this one. Like, I'm interested to see the direction they're going to go in. But I think in my memory, like, this is the greatest halftime show in a very, very long time. And I feel like that's kind of the reception that I've seen on social media and stuff like that. I think it was just so fun. I absolutely loved it.
So I listened to 3 types of music. It's country, Christmas music, and classic rock. So typically the halftime show does not like super focus on the things I'm interested in, which is fine. For being music that I don't listen to in this aspect, I still thought it was a really good show. I really liked the stage. I thought it was well done. It was shorter than I thought it was going to be as well. Like it felt like it was short compared to previous years, and maybe it wasn't, but just kind of felt that way. I think I do prefer one headliner over a bunch of artists just because I think it allows more for a build up and a complete show, maybe instead of just hearing one person sing one song and on to the next. But they all still did a good job. I still enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was my favorite ever. I'm a big Bruno Mars halftime show fan. And the greatest halftime show performer of all time is Left Shark. And I won't hear any other arguments.
At first, when you said Left Shark, I was like, oh, I've never heard of that band. And then I remembered, like, oh, Katy Perry, yes.
I just like it always is stuck in my mind. But for being music that I don't listen to, I thought it was a good show. Like you said, it's really good representation, but I think that's probably what led to some polarizing social media outbursts. I read a lot of people say what you said, like it was the best halftime show of all time. But then there were people who said it was the worst halftime show of all time. And we just know the types of people that those are as well. So
yeah,
exactly. It's a little dramatic.
Yes, very dramatic. Nobody is ever going to be 100% satisfied with the halftime show. Like, not everybody. Like, it's impossible to satisfy every single person in the United States of America. Like, there's no one artist that everyone's just going to be like, that was amazing. Because also, like, you have just such a melting pot of different people, different generations, like people who enjoy different music. That's the whole reason why this is an awesome country, is because of the difference of opinions. I don't know. I really loved it. I thought it was entertaining. Like we said, I thought the artist did a great job. I thought the set was really cool. I think it's going to be like really hard to top this, but I'm excited because now I'm like, okay, what's next? I think the halftime show has become more of like a show and not just like a singer standing up there and singing, if that makes sense. You have the different sets, you have the artists moving to different areas, like you have all the dancers. I think it's become more of like a spectacle than, whereas in years past, it's usually just like the artist standing on the stage and doing a thing, you know?
With J-Lo and Shakira's as well.
Yes, yeah.
Really became a more of a show, a performance, rather than, like you said, just an artist kind of standing up there. I guess Lady Gaga did like come down from the roof.
True. Gotta give credit where credit's deserved. I think the point where Lady Gaga and so on, and how could I forget about J-Lo and Shakira, because they crushed it too, obviously. I think that it's become more of an actual show and an entertaining feature with like different components. So I'm excited. I think it's really cool just to bring in different artists and artists from different genres as well. Derek and I were trying to like think about who would be next year's. Do they bring a country artist out? But I feel like it would have to be like a combination of multiples.
I just don't think they're ever bringing a country artist out. Just because of the people who listen to country music are always watching the Super Bowl. Like, I don't think it gets them new eyes. True.
That is very true. Smart marketing.
I wish they would bring Kelly Clarkson out to do her Christmas CD, but
could you imagine? I don't see Jay-Z doing that, but Kelly Clarkson would be a great artist for the halftime show.
I agree.
I don't think she could do her Christmas album, but I think she would be really cool. You just bring back all the American Idol alumni, like Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, like
that'd be fire.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a pretty interesting halftime show. I don't know. I feel like they have to go, since they just did like rap and hip hop, that they have to go like maybe a pop route.
Wow, so different.
So different, I know. I told Derek, I was like, you know, it'd be so cool as if it was like all alternative bands, like a few different alternatives, since it's like super trendy and popular now for some reason. I don't know why, even though I've loved alternative music my whole life, but whatever.
I literally still don't understand alternative music. I've been asking my friends for years.
I sent you the definition. It has to do with the instruments and the music.
If it's popular, it's not alternative anymore. It's not the alternative. Like, it's mainstream now. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, but it wasn't. But because of people like the Kardashians who are getting married to Travis Barker, making alternative music popular, and Megan Fox.
We have too many discussions about Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly.
Never enough.
Let's talk about the actual game, I guess. I think this year's playoffs were the best playoffs we've seen probably ever, just because pretty much every game ended on the last play. I do think that we probably saw 3 to 4 games that were better than this one in previous rounds, like Bills, KC, Bengals, KC, Rams, and Bucks. But I think it's because of how the game ended. If you're going to call a game a certain way, if you're not calling penalties, if you're missing the blatant offensive pass interference call where Jalen Ramsey gets thrown to the ground by his face mask, don't start calling penalties in the last 2 minutes of the game. It's like if you're in the 9th inning of a baseball game and the umpire decides he's changing the strike zone. That's pretty much what happened in this game.
Right before we came back from that commercial break, my brother was like, I don't want to jinx it, but like it's been pretty good. Like with the penalties, there hasn't been a lot. And then, of course, as soon as it came back, it was like penalty, penalty, penalty. And I was like, what is going on? And that stuff right there is the type of thing where I'm like, this is suspicious. Like it makes me question the integrity of the game. You can't be playing one way the whole time. And then when it really comes down to like these important plays and pivotal moments, that like the refs just decide to change their whole strategy.
I don't mind if you're in call penalties, but you better call penalties from the beginning of the game. Like if you're gonna let them play. If you're gonna be strict, then be strict.
And like I said earlier in the episode, I went in not really rooting for anyone, but towards the end of the game and after all that happened, I was rooting for the Bengals because it wasn't fair. It just wasn't. And the holding on 3rd down, like that wasn't holding. Even the announcers were like, I don't see it. It was heartbreaking for the Bengals. Like I felt so bad for them because then obviously when they get their last possession, they really weren't able to move the ball or do anything too. I'm just like, oh, well, just their luck. Like that sucks.
It's sus at best. For sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, like that was weird.
We'll do we already said we're gonna do a podcast on the integrity of sports and stuff like that, but this was not a good case for the NFL being fair.
The overall game I thought was pretty good. Like it was pretty entertaining. I think it's hard, like you said, the playoffs, there were so many good games this playoff run. Like, and that's saying something for 2 people whose teams weren't even in it. Like it was actually enjoyable games and entertaining. I think it would be hard to compete with those. The playoffs are usually really good just because, for the most part, because there's so many games being played. And I think it's hard to live up to the hype of like coming off of such an awesome like playoff season and then the Super Bowl. And it was a good game, obviously, and close 23-20. Definitely better than the Bucks Super Bowl last year. That game was a snooze fest. I don't even remember it because it was so boring. So I enjoyed that aspect because it was pretty competitive. I think in the middle there, it started to get boring again, but the ending was it was really heartbreaking and I felt bad for the Bengals.
Play where the Rams take the lead. The Rams are down significant weapons in this game once OBJ goes down. Like their starting tight end is not there. They've got some practice squad dudes lining up in the Super Bowl, but you have Cooper Kupp. And so who is one-on-one with Cooper Kupp in the red zone? Eli Apple. You're not double teaming Cooper Kupp and you're putting Eli Apple on him, which everyone knows dude is not up for the challenge. He did not turn around at all. He did not know the ball was coming. He had no clue what was happening on this last play. All the trash talking this dude has done on social media to come out and just give up the game-winning touchdown like that one-on-one against Cooper Kupp. He's got old teammates mocking him. Michael Thomas comes out. He's like, Eli's going to Eli. Like on Twitter. Like he's getting wrecked on Twitter now by his former teammates.
I literally got an ESPN notification about how his former teammates are basically, like you said, just shitting on his life on Twitter right now. And I have never been an Eli Apple fan. He was on the Giants in 2016, 2017. And the player I talked about the most was Eli Apple because I couldn't stand him. He was awful. Like, it wasn't surprising to see what happened and that he didn't turn around, because that's basically what he did his entire time on the Giants. First of all, who told Eli Apple to Cooper Kupp? Because that's a terrible mistake. And then him trying to cover him and absolutely failing miserably.
The Bengals also at least two DBs that are better than Eli Apple. And he probably should have been double covering Kupp anyway. So I thought it was just an interesting scheme. Obviously didn't work out.
Worst player of the game goes to Eli Apple.
MTP, most terrible player, Eli Apple.
Yeah, like, I don't know what his contract is with the Bengals, but if I were them, I'd be like, get rid of this guy.
Yes, take a hike, bud. Other terrible players on the Bengals is the entire offensive line. I cannot believe that this is their offensive line. They have so much salary cap.
Joe Burrow has over 50 sacks and is the most, like, he was the first quarterback to make it to the Super Bowl with that many sacks.
This dude tore his ACL last year because of the line.
Yeah. And
they give up 9 sacks against the Titans. I have no clue how they won that game. There's no way they should have won that game. And then the offensive line starts bragging on Twitter. They're like, we're not that bad. Come, you'll see. They promptly showed us they were terrible again last night. When Joe Burrow went down, like, he's screaming, dude.
Yes.
You don't scream like that if you just like twist your knee. Like, I swear he tore something. He comes back in the game. They run like 3 straight run plays and you're like, something's wrong. You can just tell by the way he's walking, like, something is wrong.
Seeing that pain in his face, I was like, oh shit. I was shocked that he was back on the field.
No, I mean, if they come back in the next couple days and they say he tore something in his knee, I wouldn't be shocked at all just from his reaction.
Yeah, that was awful. I felt bad for him. I mean, I felt bad for OBJ when he went down too. Just because he's worked so hard to come back from all of his injuries. But I mean, he was walking on the sideline, so it can't be too serious.
I saw something where somebody said they thought it was like a non-contact ACL potentially as well. I'm sure he'll get scans today too.
Yeah, that was and they kept replaying it, and you just see, even when what's it called? Matthew Stafford's foot was literally facing the wrong direction. I was like, what's happening? Like, again, another reason why I could never be a professional athlete. But whenever, like, just seeing the pain of Joe Burrow scream, I was like, oh, he's screwed. Big props to all of them. And I'm always upset when I see a player injured. Especially now as an adult, like, understanding. I feel like as a kid, I was like, yeah, break someone's clavicle, like, whatever. Like, I always think of that scene in Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell when he's the soccer coach and he tells the kids, like, break someone's clavicle. I'm hoping for the best for all of them. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we got some new information in the next few days here.
Was probably the same as you as a kid. It was like, yeah, now our life is easier, but it's like, it's actually really messed up.
Yeah, I know. Like, when you think about that, I'm like, that was aggressive of me. Like,
me?
I remember, like, being like, yeah, like, I don't even know, just like stupid things like, yeah, break his leg, whatever. And it's like, that's a horrible thing to wish upon any person. But again, you're just a kid and you don't really understand like the work and concept. You just want your team to win and be good. So
we're mature now.
Yeah, obviously. Much more mature at 27.
So Cooper Kupp wins MVP, gets a couple of touchdowns, a game-winning touchdown. I think I could have caught the game-winning touchdown if Eli Apple was guarding me, but nevertheless.
Yeah.
Did you agree with this? Did you disagree with the MVP pick?
So I know we were talking about it like before, and we were like, oh, it has to be Aaron Donald, like 100%. Like like we said, I think he was consistent throughout the whole game. He's one of the biggest reasons why they're even in the Super Bowl. I know they don't reflect on the whole year, but I mean, I personally think it should be a factor, but whatever. And even in the game, like those last few stops of the Bengals, like that was all him. Like that one, I think it was on third down where he literally like grabbed the guy with one hand. I was like, oh my gosh, like that is talent, like freaking Thor out on the field there. So I thought he was gonna get MVP, and I think it would just be cool because usually it's typically like the quarterback or the wide receiver, so like it just change it up. When it announced Cooper Kupp, I was pretty surprised. Like you said, yeah, he had the two touchdowns game winning, one of them game winning, which I guess is obviously deserving of the MVP. So I was definitely surprised. I don't think like I'm disappointed in it. I think it's a good pick. And I think also, I know I sent you the stat of just everything Cooper Kupp has accomplished. And again, the MVP for the Super Bowl doesn't take into account the whole season, but it was saying like he's won the receiving Triple Crown, won Offensive Player of the Year, and won Super Bowl MVP. Jerry Rice is the only wide receiver in NFL history to do all those things in his entire career, and Kupp did it in a single season. Like that is a good ass player, obviously. Again, would he have been my Super Bowl MVP? No, but I think he would be second. So I'm not upset about it.
I just don't know if Kupp's in that situation unless Aaron Donald and the rest of the defensive line come alive in the second half. And Joe Burrow literally had 1 second to throw every time he drops back. He couldn't do anything. No. And it's a testament to how big of a force Aaron Donald is. I think if someone else catches a game-winning touchdown, Aaron Donald probably does win the MVP.
Yeah, agreed.
So last question, Miranda. What did you eat for the Super Bowl?
So what did I not eat is the real question, but we started out with more like appetizer things. So we had buffalo chicken dip, spinach and artichoke dip, like little like Publix sandwiches, little charcuterie board, French onion dip, all the dips pretty much. And then for dinner we had sausage and peppers, which is one of my favorite meals of all time, with sweet potato tots. So no complaints.
Just eating raw peppers and onions?
No, they're cooked.
I know, I'm just getting shit. Oh, I hate sweet potatoes, but anyway.
Sweet potatoes are one of my favorite things in the world.
They're literally trash compared to real potatoes.
I mean, I love real potato. I love all potatoes, honestly. But sweet potatoes, it tastes like dessert, basically. Like it doesn't even taste like a vegetable, and they're better for you than regular potatoes.
You know what happened to me? So this is traumatizing.
Oh my God.
That's dramatic. But when, you know how like the whole healthy eating thing happened when we were in high school?
Yes.
So my senior year, they really went all in on it for whatever reason. And every potato became sweet potatoes. Like I was eating sweet potato, mashed potato, and it's disgusting, dude. It's so bad. Like it.
That's also because it's from the school cafeteria.
No, I liked school food, so that's not the problem.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
I literally brought my lunch most days. But I did, at our school, we had these like cheese-filled pizza sticks. So clearly, I don't know if my
Bosco stick, yes.
Yes. Oh my God. Bosco sticks. Oh, those were so good. But it's crazy that like I would eat that for lunch. Like basically just a cheese-filled bread, like no nutritional value whatsoever. So like obviously I understand why they tried to do the health kick, but I don't know if it successfully worked.
If I could go back to eating my school's lunch food every day, I would in a heartbeat. Like not even a second thought about it. It was good. Sorry, it was good.
The only thing I liked were the Bosco sticks, pizza, and chicken fingers.
I love chicken fingers. It's a topic for my life, but my Super Bowl meal was not like that. So I ate some hamburgers, and then I texted you. I was like, I ate hamburgers, and then I made pancakes, just like randomly out of. And then I ate meatballs and like chips and queso. So it was really all over the place. Nothing fancy. No sweet.
I feel like you have some good classics in there with a mix of pancakes.
Big blueberry pancake mix fan.
Oh, love blueberry pancakes. They're the best.
No better pancakes, but I don't even like pancakes that much. I was just vibing with it.
I love pancakes. I love breakfast food. I never really eat them, but yeah.
Waffles are better than pancakes.
I like waffles. I like Belgian waffles though. Like the ones that you get at a restaurant. Not
Obviously.
like Eggos.
I love the toaster strudels. I'm a big fan of those.
See, Derek is a big toaster strudel fan, but we were just talking about this like a week or two ago. When I was a kid, I would make a toaster strudel, scoop out the insides, put the frosting on top, and just eat the puff pastry with the frosting on it.
What's wrong with you?
I was like, screw this like fruit preserve inside. I just want the puff pastry. I think I could appreciate them more now as an adult. We didn't have them as much, but I literally remember when they came out and they were super popular. And like, that's all we bought for like probably an entire year.
That's a good year. Great
year. No toaster strudels were eaten on Super Bowl Sunday though.
What a travesty.
I guess overall, to wrap it up, what would you rate this Super Bowl out of 5 stars?
Probably a 3.5.
Yeah, I honestly was gonna go same, like pretty middle ground, like a 3. Like, wasn't bad, wasn't the best.
I think if the Bengals won, I'd bump it up to a 4, but I'm salty and I'm suspicious and the commercials didn't pull it up. Really the halftime show kind of led this ranking, because if it was bad, it'd be a rough rating.
Yeah, I think it was better than last year again, just because I think the game itself wasn't exciting, and then you also didn't have good commercials. And I love The Weeknd, but I know people didn't really enjoy the halftime show. So I think it was better than last year, but still not like as exciting as it has been in years past. Maybe like we'll record an episode at the beginning of the NFL season and pick our picks for the Super Bowl 2023. Yeah. I was going to be like, we should pick them now, but I don't want to do that.
Absolutely not. So much can happen.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe we'll pick it when preseason starts.
I know that the Cowboys or Giants will not be one of my picks. So
I was gonna say, I know the Giants won't be in it. So there's definitely some you can eliminate pretty quickly.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Next week's podcast will be our top 5 favorite and least favorite sports moments of 2021. So you definitely don't want to miss that.
Check out our link tree, which you can find in the description of this episode. This is our one-stop shop for everything you can find on all of our social media accounts, and also sign up to share your fandom story with us.
And so you don't miss any of our upcoming podcasts, subscribe to us on whatever platform you're listening on. If you feel generous today, go ahead and share with a friend, leave a review. Every little bit helps since we're first starting out.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next Wednesday.